Good evening. The word of the day is firm. Before we start, my dad is fine. He had unexpected plans come up, and I got a text about 30 minutes ago saying you need to do the word of the day. I've had less than 30 minutes to think about this. Sorry. The word of the day is firm. So last year we had a bottle calf. His name was Branch. Now around here I normally raise our bottle calves, and they're normally bottle calves because their moms can't take care of them properly. So Branch was my baby last year. He still is. Not that he will acknowledge it. Once calves get to this age, they're like grumpy teenagers. Anyways, last fall we were getting ready to transition Branch back into the pasture. He had been in the barn, and we had just moved him into the feed lot to give him more room to roam around and grow, and so he would be able to have more nutrition and he would be able to graze a little bit. We took a day trip to the farmer's market, and yes, we wore masks. And while we were there, I was getting some coconut bonbons for my grandmother. They're her favorite. And my dad got a phone call. I knew instantly it was a good thing that I'd gotten the coconut bonbons because it was my grandmother calling and saying that there's a cow out. And when things like that happen, she instantly calls my dad, no matter where he is at or what he is doing, because he is the only one who can fix it, apparently. Well, we were 3 hours away in Asheville, so Dad called a cousin of ours, and he came over and put the calf back in. And while we were on our way back down the road, because even though the cow was back in, it was still an urgent necessity that we be home as quickly as possible, he called my dad to tell him, well, cow's back in, and it must be one of Sarah's, because he wasn't afraid of me at all. Let me tell you, I was the one driving, and I was just sitting up there shaking my head. I knew. And I was glad I bought the bonbons. They were a very nice gift for my grandmother when she was astonished that it was mine that had gotten out. Well, we got home, and it was time for Branch's nightly bottle. And so his escape had made quite the disturbance. But I had to go find him because he still needed that bottle. I searched for an hour in the rain and the mud, carrying a bottle that was weighing between 5 and 10 pounds. It was not fun. I had to call Dad. I texted the cousin, asked him, where'd you put him back in at? He said he just put him in the pasture. He didn't know that he had been in the feedlot. So I went and searched. I was just about to give up and say, well, we'll find him tomorrow if we have to, when all of a sudden I hear this thundering of hooves coming from the other side of the barn and the feedlot. I turn and I look, and there stood not one, but 2 calves, Branch and the youngest calf in the pasture, Marvin, who was about a week old at that point. Now, I had already counted all the cows, and had found them all to be there but Branch, so I have no idea how I missed Marvin. Maybe because he was only a week old. I don't know. So I tried to get them to come around to me, but then realized 2 things. Branch had not been in that pasture by himself since he was a week old. He was about 6 months old at this point. He had no idea where he was at. And number 2, Marvin was only a week old. He had no idea where he was at either. He was just following Branch, and they were just running amok, lost and confused as could be. So I walked around the barn carrying this bottle and met them on the other side. When I got over there, I had 2 calves staring me down. I said, well, Branch, are you going to come get this bottle or what? Now here's where the word of the day comes in. If you have ever been standing and had a 300-pound bull calf barreling straight towards you, you have to stand firm. If they know you're afraid, then it's just going to make things worse. He was running for me, all 4 hoofs, just as hard as he could go. And he got about 2 yards away from me, and I said, stop! I was firm and held my ground, and he stopped. If he had been a car, all 4 of his hoods would have been skidding, and it would have been noise going. But he stopped. So I said, now walk and come get your bottle. And he did. He walked up to me and he started in on that bottle just like he did every night. Poor Marvin was still standing there, very confused, very afraid, as a week-old calf would be. Eventually, I decided I had to get them back to the other cows because if not, it would be a disaster. In the middle of fall, late fall at that, with coyotes around, they would be no match for the coyotes. But I had to figure out how to get them there. Branch was going to follow me no matter what because of that bottle. He knew the bottle meant food. And wasn't getting extra that night for obvious reasons, but he knew the bottle meant food. So he was pretty easy. But I had to figure out Marvin. Marvin had been following him anyways, so it turned out to be pretty easy. I opened the gate to the feedlot and we walked through there, me holding the bottle and Branch pushing me along just on the bottle as hard as he could go, even though it was empty, because he knew it meant food. And Marvin, he would pause every now and again, but I stood firm with him too, and he kept on coming. I had to remind him he had to go back to his mama. Well, we finally got him over there, and I was done. The reason I say all this, though, is if you've never worked with animals like this before, it could be pretty scary having a 300-pound bull calf running straight at you with hardly a stop in the world. But you have to remain firm. When you face those big challenges that you don't know how you can get through, you have to stay firm in your beliefs, in your morals, and your values, and to get through them. And stick strong to what you know is best so that you can get through it in the way that works for you and works for those around you. Stand firm in your challenges. Have a great day.